Hey everyone, welcome back to Hacky Lessons, and it is time. By now, you hopefully have some cards for set 1 of the One Piece card game, and now you're ready to build a deck. So I have a few deck profiles to show you. This video will be a Kozuki Oden Akazaya 9 deck. Okay, Kozuki Oden, the man who was born to be boiled. This is a fun deck. I've really been enjoying practicing with this deck. I had printed out proxies. I've made a few changes to what the list I've been running just to make it a bit more competitive because I was running a more thematic version. But yeah, it's a good fun deck. I don't know if it's going to be the strongest deck in the meta, but it's definitely worth playing. So he's activate main. Once per turn, you can trash one land of one or type card from your hand to set up 2 of your Don cards as active. So this is pretty good. Little get a bit of extra juice in your turn. And if you're trashing something that you just don't need, that's all more the better. 4 copies of Momonosuke. So this card is very similar to Jewelry Bonnie, except he searches for Wano cards instead. So rest it, pay it on, and look up top 5 for Wano type card. So very much a linchpin card. While we're talking about cards that draw, 4 copies of Raizo. This card is very good, so you'll probably be seeing in a lot of green decks. 3 cost, 4,000 power, and when attacking once per turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 1 card. So this rule should count himself, so all you really need is 1 rested card. So if you got Momonosuke and you rest that, and then you attack with Raizo, Raizo's the second rested card, draw another card. And then I have 2 copies of You Can Be My Samurai. There'll be moments where you have things on board that are just, you don't care about, like they're weak or whatever. Pay 1 Don, rest 2 characters, draw 2 cards. Good little draw engine that. 4 copies of Kawamatsu. It's basically just a skillless. It only costs 3,000 power, but it has the trigger to play. More than anything, he's my favourite Akazaya 9, so I couldn't not include him. And he might as well be at 4, just to increase the chances that you do get to play him off trigger. Otherwise, he only costs 2, so that's not too bad. 3,000 power is weak, of course, but I think this deck thrives a little bit better with low to the ground cost cards, and you can just attach Don as you need. 3 copies of Ashura Doji. So this card has Don ×1. If your opponent has 2 or more rested character, this character gains 2,000 power. So you're doing a few things in this deck that rest your opponent's characters. So attach 1 Don, he's 5,000 power. Your opponent has 2 rested characters, and then he's up to 7,000 power. So not bad at all for a little 3 cost. 2 copies of Cat Viper. This one is an on-play rest 1 of your opponent's characters with cost of 3 or less. That's 2 Don. You could bump him up, but as he only hits 3 or less, and he has 1,000 counter, there's a better version of him, which is Izo. So 4 copies of Izo, cost 3, and on play will hit a 4 cost or less. They have the same actual power, but Izo does have the 2,000 counter, so that makes him a lot more valuable. And we also have another way of resting. We have Okiku. So she has no counter power, so that's why she's only at 3. Otherwise, I would put her at 4 because 5,000 power. Don ×1, when attacking once per turn, rest 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. And then 3 copies of Dogstorm. He has Don ×2. When attacking, set 1 of your Don cards as active. So that's pretty good. And a similar ability is shared by Denjiro, and he costs 5. He doesn't have counter power. But Don ×1, if your leader is Oden, set up to 2 of your Don cards to active when you attack. And then the reason why you do want a lot of your cards to be low to the ground is so they can be played off Kinemon. Kinemon costs 6, and on play, if your leader is Oden, play 1 Akazaya 9 type character card with cost of 3 or less from your hand. And then Don ×1 when attacking once per turn, set one of your Akazaya 9 cards with cost of 3 or less to active. So this card's pretty good. It might be worth bumping him up to 4, actually. Depends. I don't know what I'd take out. And then just as a cheeky one-of is Hiyori, and she costs 1 to play, but on play you could also pay 3 more Don, and she will set one of your 1-0 type character cards with cost of 3 or less to active. So it says 1-0 type, so it doesn't have to be an Akazaya 9, but most of them are anyway. And now I have 3 copies of Yamato. So this is a secret rare, so obviously if you don't own copies of it or don't own enough copies of it, you can take this out for something else. I was originally running 4, but I took 1 out to make space, but this card is great. So he costs 5 and has double attack and banish. So 2 life are going straight to the trash if this attack gets through. And it's not relevant yet, but it also says treat this card's name as Cozy Oden. Nice and thematic. So a little bit of out of theme tech just to make the deck good enough, basically. You need some blockers, so 4 blockers, Gang Beach. And then this will protect your board. 2 copies of Kid. So this is basically a must include in green decks right now. Basically, if this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack any character other than Kid. And he also has Activate Main. You can rest this character card and play a card with 3 costs or less. So that goes back to how all the Akazaya 9 are 3 costs or less. So when you play this, you can rest it and play a Akazaya 9 card while you're there. For counters, I have 2 copies of Paradise Waterfall. So this is only a 1 cost for a 2000 counter, so I don't really like paying Don for 2000 counter power, but it does have the ability to set one of your characters to active, so this is pretty good to protect your cards. Especially Momonosuke. So if you need to defend an attack, use this, and whatever character card's vulnerable at the moment, you can put it back to active and they won't be vulnerable anymore. 3 copies of Punk Gibson. I think this is probably one of the best green event cards for counter. So your leader or one of your characters gets 4000 power for the battle, and then you may rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, essentially stopping 2 attacks. And then just a one of is Demon Face, cost 6. KO 2 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 5 or less. So I find a lot of grindy matches where you're trying to kill your opponent's characters instead of attacking the leader. Just use this to kill the characters, and then you're free to attack the leader. So that's the deck list, guys. Hope you enjoy it, and hopefully it helps you out in your tournament play. If you enjoyed this profile and you want to see more, there's a few more on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll be able to see all the One Piece content I'll be putting out as the game continues to grow. Alright, I'll see you later.